Hey guys, Marcy Fazio here with Fazio Law, and we are doing a mini video series covering expungements. This will be the fourth and final video. The first video we talked about a basic expungement, and then the next three videos are covering what I call a super expungement because it's more complicated but also more thorough in removing and erasing your records. So feel free to check out those other videos. But today, or excuse me, in this video in particular, we're going to cover the super expungement. There's 15 different ways that you could potentially qualify for a super expungement. So I broke that up into 3 different videos so that it wasn't too much information all at once. So each of those 3 videos covers 5 of the ways you can be eligible for the super expungement. So in this video right now, we're going to talk about the last 5 categories where you could be eligible for a super expungement. If you have any questions, feel free to call the office. You can find our information, our website, everything on Google, or shoot us an email and we'll kind of walk you through it. But this will give you a general overview. And notice I'm saying an overview. I'm not going into all the details and nuances because this video would end up being 10 hours long, but giving you at least an overview of the categories when you could be eligible for a super expungement. So let's look at number 11. So Again, the first 10 ways are in the previous video. So the 11th category where you could be eligible for a super expungement is if you are convicted of a misdemeanor and you receive a sentence of either a fine greater than $500, a sentence of a suspended sentence, which is probation but a conviction, or if you're sentenced to jail time. So if you're convicted of a misdemeanor and you have one of those 3 types of sentences, then you can have a super expungement 5 years after the completion of your sentence. The next way, category number 12, if you are convicted of a non-violent felony, and again, violent felonies are defined by statute in Title 57 of Oklahoma Statutes 571. There's basically just a big list of every crime or charge that the Oklahoma legislature has declared to be violent. So it's not a question of, is this violent or is it not? It's laid out in statute. So if you are convicted, and again, I'm not going to list them all here because this video would get too long, but if you're convicted of a non-violent felony offense, then 5 years after the completion of your sentence, you're eligible for a super expungement. I should say one more thing. Everything I'm telling you right now is accurate now. It's November of 2019, but they're updating the laws and changing things all the time. This expungement statute actually was just updated, that went into effect November 1st, so like 3 weeks ago. So it changes fairly often. New categories get added or the time frames might change. So as of though right now, November of 2019, this is accurate. There's usually not anything major that changes. Like I said, it could be just changing the time frame or something like that. Okay, category 13, if you are convicted of not more than 2 felonies. So everything we've been talking about so far has been referring to one crime or one charge. So there's actually a category though if you have 2 felonies where you could potentially be eligible for a super expungement, but not more than 2. So if you are convicted of not more than 2 felonies and the felonies are non-85% charges, and I'm not going to go in detail in this video about what that means. I'll talk about it in a future video maybe, but there's again a list in the Oklahoma statutes, I think it's in section 13.1, that lists out maybe 20 crimes that are what are called 85% crimes. And basically they're the most serious crimes: murder, rape, child abuse. So the most serious crimes are 85% crimes. So this eligibility for a super expungement does not apply to 85% crimes. Okay, let's go back in. Number 13, convicted of not more than 2 felonies. Neither of them are 85% crimes or sex offender crimes. So if you're charged with rape or indecent exposure, sexual battery, something that would require you to register as a sex offender, then you're not going to be eligible under provision 13. And 10 years has passed. So obviously we're talking about 2 felonies, so they're making you wait longer. But basically if you've got 2 felonies, they're not 85%, they don't require you to register as a sex offender, and then after the completion of the sentence, 10 years later, you could be eligible for the super expungement. Okay, 2 left. You can kind of see why I split this up into 3 different videos. There's a lot of material here, and that's even just the overview, not going into all the detail. Number 14 is if the crime that you have been arrested for or accused of or charged with was actually committed by someone else using your name. So let's say you're a victim of identity theft, someone steals your name and then they get arrested or charged and they give the police your name. Then obviously, even though you had nothing to do with the offense or the charge, your name has that black mark on it, and so you would probably want an expungement just to get that cleaned up. So if it's an identity theft type issue, then you're certainly eligible for the super expungement right away. There's no kind of time frame there. And then the last one, section 15, is if you have been charged with a non-violent felony that has since been reclassified as a misdemeanor. So if you pay attention to the news or anything in Oklahoma, then just in the last couple of years, a lot of felony charges in Oklahoma that used to be felonies have been reclassified as misdemeanors. A lot of property crimes have been reclassified as misdemeanors, and the biggest one that most people know about is a lot of drug offenses have been reclassified as misdemeanors. So for example, 2 or 3 years ago, if you had just a tiny bit of cocaine that was in your possession, that was a felony. Now, if you get arrested and you've got a tiny bit of cocaine, it's a misdemeanor. So that's what this is talking about, charges that have been reclassified as a felony. So say you were convicted 3 years ago of possession of cocaine when it was a felony, it has now been reclassified as a misdemeanor. If you fall into that category, again, there's some more conditions or nuances, but that's the overview. If you fall into that category, that you've been charged or convicted of a crime that was a felony, it's been reclassified as a misdemeanor. In that situation, you could be eligible for the super expungement. Okay, so we've covered a lot of information. Again, that's just the overview. So feel free to contact us. You can find us on Google, go to our website, send us an email, give us a phone call, find us on Facebook, whatever. If you have any questions or if you need help getting your record cleaned. Talk to you later.